so understanding about UPS's failure. You've been very kind. I was anticipating a crowd of angry people. Where's my book? But you've been very nice, and we appreciate it. So thank you. My name is Greg Newton. I am the co-founder, along with my lovely partner, Donnie Jokum, of the Bureau of General Services. So the Bureau is an all-volunteer, independent queer bookstore that Donnie and I founded in 2012, and that has been here at the LGBT Community Center since 2014. So we have regular business hours Wednesdays through Sundays from 1 to 7 p.m., and then we often stay open later when we have events such as this. So please sign up for our newsletter, which you can do in the back of the room or on our website for those of you watching online. That's BGSQD.com. As an all-volunteer independent queer bookstore, we are very dependent on both sales and donations to keep this machine going. So I'm going to pass a bag around. There's some cash in here for those big bills that you might have. There's also QR codes for Venmo, or if you want to go the tax-deductible route, you can do that too. You can sign up to become a monthly donor, which we really love, but it does require a little filling out, so you might want to do that. Pass that around. And for those of you watching online, if you'd like to make a donation, you can go to our website, BGSQD.com, click on the menu and click on donate. Or if you just want to go to Venmo, you can find us at BGSQD. So I've already told you our hours, I've told you about the newsletter. I think those are the things, the main things. Before I introduce Tim and Paul, I did want to read a land acknowledgement. So the Bureau acknowledges that our organization operates on the unceded land of the Munsee Lenape. We encourage you to join the Bureau in signing up to make a monthly donation to the American Indian Community Houses Mannahatta Fund. The Mannahatta Fund, according to its website, is an invitation for all settlers and non-native people who wish to acknowledge the legacy of theft and genocide that comprise the history of New York City and the United States. And you can find out more at mannahattafund.org. The Bureau also recognizes Palestinian liberation as a fundamental part of our collective queer liberation. And we very much encourage you to take one of our free zines at the back of the room, which talks about why we feel it is especially important for queer people to speak out in solidarity with Palestinians at this moment. So please take one of those at the counter. And with that, we arrive at introduction time. So, in addition to writing the Lightning People Play, that missing book that will soon be here, Tim Cummings is the author of the beloved coming-of-age novel, Alice the Cat. He teaches writing for UCLA's Writers Program. He has been an actor for over 40 years and has appeared in well over 200 projects during that time. He is a native New Yorker. He and Paul Sparks met while students at NYU and have a lifetime of stories to regale and frighten you all with. Let's go hear some of those. Paul Sparks was born and raised in Oklahoma. He has lived and worked in New York City since 1992. He is the Susan Lucci of the Drama Desk Awards, with 7 nominations today. Sorry, took me a minute there. Yet, no wins yet. After Tim loved him in a play at NYU where he portrayed a serial killer covered in blood from head to toe, he knew they would be friends forever. Please welcome Tim Cummings to the stage.
Oh, hi Tim. I can see myself on the screen. Hi.
Hi.
I have a little, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
As an accomplished theater actor, I don't know if I need the mic, but, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. So, I just have a couple of announcements and thank yous, and then I'm going to read the first chapter, and then I'm going to have Paul come out, and Paul's going to ask me some questions, and we're going to have a conversation, and then I might read another little section. I won't torture you, they're short sections, 26 minutes each, just kidding. And then after that, there will be a Q&A, and then a signing of sorts, and then afterwards, we're going to go to Julius's. We have the room in the back reserved for all of you to have beer and burgers and just socialize your gorgeous faces off. Okay, so thank you. Thank you for being here. I really mean that. I really appreciate it. This is an extraordinary homecoming for me. I can't even begin to tell you what it means for me to be I'm in my home city. My family is originally from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, so New York is in my blood, and the fact that I'm actually in New York City doing a literary event for one of my books is almost incomprehensible. And what I want to say is, if you're an artist, or even if you're not an artist, and you're working toward a dream, keep at it. Just keep going. Yeah. It's honestly amazing. So, yeah. As I was writing this little missive earlier, I was thinking about the general nature of these things. Unlike theater is interesting because you get to prep for a very long time, but then you never know what's going to happen on stage. You have to be really spontaneous and really present. You know, an actor can go up, a light can fall. You never know what's going to happen. A phone can go off in the audience. But these events, I've noticed, I don't have any control. Usually I don't see the space. I don't know who's going to be there. I don't know what the moderator is going to ask me. I don't know what the Q&A is going to bring. I don't know if anybody has read the book. I don't know anything. I just show up, right? So it's a lesson in being present and letting go of more control. And as I was having breakfast this morning with Jen, talking about this, I got a notification that UPS didn't deliver the books. And I was like, so it's really interesting that we're all being asked to live in that exact thing, which is no control over it, but the show must go on. So you can still buy a book. Donnie and Greg are very graciously giving a discount. They'll mail them to you. There are stickers that I can sign. I have amazing pens. No, I'm not kidding. I have amazing pens. They're purple, they're glittery, they glow. I don't fuck around with the pens, excuse my French. And so I'll sign for you, and so it'll be taken care of. And there are Alice the cats here, which I was really happy to see. So I'm really happy to have here. And then also I have to shout out to Tina Wollstonecroft. Tina, stand up for a second, please. Tina did the audiobook of Alice the Cat. It really means a lot to me that she's here, because that was extraordinary. So thanks, Tina.
You're welcome.
You're like a part of my heart and soul forever for how beautifully you brought that story alive, honestly. And similarly, the guy who did the audiobook for the Lightning People Play, Will Collier, he was so genius. He broke my heart. I hope if you like audiobooks that you'll listen to it. Greg and Donnie, thank you so much. This is such a beautiful and important space. I'm really honored to be here. Thank you to Brendan McCall because he introduced us. So thank you. He's also been a participant in my writing workshops for several years now, and he's such a genius. So thanks, Brendan. Thank you so much. Thanks to my collaborator tonight, who has been one of my best friends for 30 years, the astonishing Paul Sparks. Paul and I have been through a lot of adventures and misadventures together, and we're still moving forward. He's such a brilliant artist, he's a brilliant friend, he's a brilliant father, and I'm really proud of him, and I'm really, really honored that he's doing this with me tonight. Hopefully he doesn't torture me. Thank you to my two best friends, Dot and Jen, who are the inspiration for so much of the energy, personalities, and characters in this book. We met doing theater when we were really, really young. So I've been on such an astonishing journey with them. And thank you to Chelsea and Elizabeth and their kids, Asher and Beatrice, who are Paul and I's godchildren. So they're our home away from home here in New York City. And I'm really happy to have them here in the front row, standing up behind Asher. Thank you to my husband, Paul Keeley. Those of you who know Paul Keeley know he is literally the nicest human being on the planet. I am so fortunate that I ended up with him and wish that the niceness would rub off a little bit more on me. But like I said earlier, I'm Irish Italian and I'm crazy. Okay. So a couple more things. The best way for you to support the book. Okay, so buy it from indie bookstores like this. Read it. That helps. Review it. Seriously, if I don't get more reviews on Amazon and Goodreads, I think the publisher is gonna bomb my house, and I'm not kidding. They send threatening emails like, the algorithms are angry at you. I can only do so much. Like I'm traveling around the country doing promotional events. But honestly, review it. Talk to people about it. Make calls to local libraries and bookstores and say, do you have the Lightning People Play with Tim Cummings, or whatever helps, and post about it on your socials. So those are ways to help, indie authors, because some of us in the world are not Pedro Pascal, and they have to get out there and hustle. We went to school with him, by the way. There is a quote by the magnificent Toni Morrison. I adore her, and the quote is, if there's a book that you want to read but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it. I have this printed above my desk at home. She shared that quote during a speech at the Ohio Arts Council in 1981, and the reason I bring it up is because that is the exegesis of this novel. Basically, I wanted to read about theater kids, and I wanted to read about epilepsy. I wanted representation. I didn't see it growing up. I didn't see enough about theater kids, not in TV, not in books, not in movies. I certainly saw nothing about epilepsy, not in TV, not in books, not in movies. And what me and my family went through with my brother was harrowing. And that's not what happens in this book. I'm not Kirby, and Baxter is not my brother. Baxter's not my brother, I'm not Kirby. But I feel like when I sat down to write this book, whoever they are in the ether, they kind of came through and said, him. And then I felt kind of like a psychic medium interpreting their story. So that's the exegesis, representation. I'm gonna read from the opening and then, the most important thing. I do match the book cover.
Yes.
If you take away nothing else tonight, take away this. If you can't match your book cover, don't publish. In fact, when the publisher first sent through the prototype for the book cover, I was all nervous, not because of what it looked like, but I was like, will it be something I can get a suit that matches? So always match your book cover. Yeah, I feel like there's this weird stigma around being matchy-matchy, and I love it. So even my socks and shoes. And my toenails are also purple. Okay, so I'm going to read from this opening chapter, and then we'll have Paul come up. The Lightning People. My little brother Baxter sees things he calls the lightning people, but he will not tell me who or what they are, and it's driving me up a rat hole. I don't even know what a rat hole is. I think I saw it in a dream or maybe one of Bax's video games, but it sounds like something that I, Kirby Daniel Renton I, would be driven up. About a month ago, Pop abandoned us and disappeared. Dad asks me not to say that. It's not true, he says. We've separated for now, and he's in Texas with Grambuela, and that's all there is to it. Yeah, but still, I tell him. Don't but still me, he says. There is no but still. Yeah, but still. After Pop abandoned us and disappeared, Bax started having seizures, usually in the middle of the night, the darkest part of the night. That's when they happen. That's when he sees things. Monsters or aliens or people or witches, I don't know exactly, who slink down from the lightning in a dark purple sky full of puffed up clouds. He says they show him things. What things? I ask him, and I get all fidgety, probably from nerves. Tell me. But he refuses. They're not yours, he says. They're mine. He wants to keep them to himself. He'll be 11 in a few months. He one-ups everything constantly. The other morning, I got more marshmallows than him in my bowl of Lucky Charms. He tossed his spoon across the kitchen island and stormed off. I want to know about the Lightning People because I kind of have this thing with my brains. Dad calls it my magic, but I've heard others, like my teacher, say it might be mild OCD or symmetry OCD. OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. A lot of S sounds, like a snake is about to uncoil and bite you in the face and suck out your face juices. But it actually means you like to be orderly, or at least that's what it means for me. For some people, in severe cases, it's pretty high key, as in buying 250 toothbrushes and throwing them out after using them for a millisecond because germs get on them so they can't use them anymore. A millisecond. We saw the doctor about this years ago, but I'm not diagnosed. He told us that if it was not impeding on my day-to-day life in a negative way, then not to worry. Could be OCD, or something else, or a million other things, or it could just be me. I organize stuff. Not just books and boxes and junk drawers. It includes people and feelings too. I see people's feelings, as if they were colors, and I want to organize them. Feelings look like colored pencils that need to be put next to each other in the right way in the colored pencil box. When I see colors, I move them around. No one really knows about this stuff. No, I mean, my best friends Rockford and Ellie know, but they're all whatevs. We love you. And Thaddeus Krasinski. He heads up Youth Theater, our theater club at Weirville Junior High. And yes, we call it Youth Eater all the time. Theater, T-H-E-A-T-R-E, is the act itself, while theater, T-H-E-T-E-R, is the space where it happens. Krasinski is very particular about that R-E versus E-R thing. So he knows about my brains because I told him after I rearranged the plays and books on the shelves in his office. Beige, blue, green, orange, purple, red, white, yellow. Alphabetical by color. Coloritical. I need to know the Lightning People are not going to hurt my brother. But it's hard to figure out because I can't go up inside his brains while he's having a seizure. Doctor of Brains, that's the neurologist dude. He told us that the electrical pathways in the brain get mixed up for epileptics. That's the condition that causes seizures, epilepsy. Bax was placed inside this monster x-ray machine that looked like a giant robot butthole so that the doctor of brains could figure out what was going on. He said Bax was an anomaly for being able to remember anything that happened during a seizure. He said that was not normal at all. Usually people go unconscious. All I wanted to know, and all I kept asking was, why? How could this all just happen? What is it? Where did it come from? Why did it pick Bax? Stuff doesn't just happen. But the doctor said, well, yeah, actually, it does. So I told Dad my theory, that it's all his fault Pop left. No, hear me out. Pop is Bax's favorite person in the whole world, and the fact that he could leave Bax, is what made his brains explode inside his head, and that's what's causing the seizures. So after I told Dad this very wise theory of mine, that it was all his fault, he grounded me for the summer. Okay, a few weeks, maybe 3, but it felt like the entire summer. Because during summer, when you're free, every day is a huge day. And to have 21 of them robbed from you for telling the truth, it may as well have been the entire 75. Drove me up the rat hole, I swear. And now Bax is changing. I see it. He's growing younger. Bax has always been the smartest kid in any class. He likes to dress like a professor. Dad and Pop would buy him suits and nice shoes to wear to school. He doesn't like to look like the other kids. He likes to look like Charles Xavier from X-Men. He's always put together, even though he's a little maniac and he plays football and freeze tag during recess, in the suits. We're used to this, how dirty he is when he comes home, so we don't worry. Other people think he's lit. The nice ties and his big expressive eyes and his shock of hair combed nicely with pomade. But ever since Pop abandoned us and disappeared, and Bax's seizure started, now he wants to look like a stick of fruit stripe gum. He wears t-shirts with colored stripes on them, bright sneakers, his hair is a mess. He looks normal. But if this is normal, it's the weirdest normal ever. And the real question anyway is, how do I get him to tell me about the Lightning People? Because I need to know who they are and what they want. Here's the thing. I will not let anything bad happen to Bax. Welcome, handsome man, to the Gay Center. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Sparks.
There I am. All right. Pedro Pascal, unavailable.
Next best thing.
I do hope you read again, because I could really listen to you read this
Thanks.
whole thing.
Thank you.
That was a delight. I'll just say quickly, I read this book, I read Alice the Cat, and I've read them out loud with my, she's 11 now, but I've read them with my daughter. It's been such a treat to get to read it, because it's kind of like having Tim. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's like having Tim in the room with us, because you can see from the way that he writes. Those of us who know him, and there are a bunch of them here, we know that's who he is and how special and interesting he is. Okay, I have a lot of questions.
Do you need some water?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. I might make it at some point. So we've known each other a long time, and you spoke a lot about how we know each other from NYU. But I'm curious. Maybe people don't know. I know your family is originally from Bay Ridge, but just talk a little bit about where you grew up, because I know those stories, and I know the kid you were. But where were you, and what were you doing, writing? I know you as a person always having a notebook full of poems. So,
Yeah.
just talk about where you came from.
I grew up in a town called Port Jefferson Station.
Woo!
Port Jeff in the house. And it is on Long Island, I would say, how far if you drive? 2 hours out east on the North Shore.
Yeah.
And it's where you get the ferry to go across to Connecticut, and felt like a little sort of New Englandy town with a lot of working class families. In my case, a lot of, my dad was a New York City fireman, and there were a lot of those types, firemen and cops, Irish, Italian, Catholic, a lot of sons, a lot of testosterone, a lot of bullying because I was different. And that's where I grew up. I was the youngest of 6.
Cool. And I know that your brother Matthew had epilepsy. I know some of the stories of what that was like growing up in a house with epilepsy, also growing up in a family that maybe didn't understand exactly what you were up to in terms of being an artist kid. And being a theatrical person. So when you left there and you came to New York when we met, where were you in terms of like your writing about like where you were coming from? Were you like, no, I'm an actor, I want to go be an actor, I want to get away from them? Like what was it like? You moved to New York, but you didn't move to LA.
When I was 11 years old, I had a teacher at school, Mrs. Christine, you might remember Mrs. Chicarella, who then became Mrs. Kuzmark. She was our chorus teacher. She came to me and said she wanted me to audition for the school play, and I didn't even know what that was. I was like, the what? The play? And I went in and I didn't know I had talent. I honestly didn't. I could sing, I could dance, I could act. I was cast in this play called Frankly Franklin. And it was a musical for children about the life of Ben Franklin. And that was my first foray. Before that, my love of storytelling came from books. I would go to the library. So I didn't have much of a relationship with my dad. He was a tall, Irishy, reticent, intimidating man with very intense blue eyes, and he would really only be home on the weekends, and he loved to go to the library, and I would go with him, and I would take out as many books as you could. 8 was the maximum. And I would always go to the desk, and the librarian would be like, "Oh, you can't take out 11 books. You're not going to read those." And my dad would say, "Oh no, read them. Don't read them." And I thought that was really cool. I worshipped books. I would read all of these books. So that was, and then I remember when I started acting, my brain interpreted it as, it's just the people in the books, but up on a stage. So that's how that all started, and I actually didn't want to do any acting or writing. I wanted to do marine biology, but then unfortunately my mom passed away, and I thought if I went to college for science that I would lose my mind, I felt like I needed to go somewhere where I could be more prismatic and mercurial and emotional and, make out with guys and take drugs. That's pretty much what happened. So then I was like, okay, I'll audition for NYU and a bunch of other schools. So between that time was when I started doing theater at community, kids theaters on Long Island, and that's where I met Dot and Jen.
Right. And so you're an actor. I know you as an actor. I mean,
Yeah.
I know you write, but we did the Shaw play together.
Man and Superman.
Right.
I was the devil.
Obviously. and I know you as an actor, but when you're writing a book, are you thinking about it as an actor? Are you describe how those two aspects of your life kind of merge when you write?
When I play a character in a play, I always used to write a lot as the character, in the voice of the character, right? So I remember, for instance, when I did The Normal Heart, I just wrote pages and pages and pages as Ned Weeks, in his voice, imagining him just walking down Fifth Avenue in 1982 New York City and coming upon his friends who are dying of this mysterious disease, right? I would just imagine things outside of what's in the play and write in their voice, and that helped me to create some of the world. So when I started writing in earnest, when I went back to school to do it, Alice the Cat and Lightning People Play are written in first person present tense.
Right.
So that's me going inside their head and writing as them the same way that I would do it to the characters that I would play when I would do a play. So yeah,
That's so interesting.
similar, but a lot more, you know, like keeping in mind that this needed to be a narrative arc, that there had to be a beginning, a middle, and end, and a lot of changes along the way, and also a point to it,
Right.
and that it had to be entertaining. I hope, yeah. So it was, yeah, it's sort of a natural progression. The big question is, can I write in third person
Right.
omniscient,
Right.
which I'm doing now.
Right. All right. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. So let's talk about the Lightning People Play. So, yeah, you've said there are some themes here. The theme of theater, the theme of epilepsy, the theme of the LGBT like aspect of like parents. There's a lot going on in the play. Like, just talk a little bit about why kind of so many different things going on, and I know you said it about how you wanted to see theater, but talk about the theater stuff. That's something that I've also never seen before, so I love it so much. That's such a love letter to the theater.
A lot of it is, again, representation. I wanted representation of theater kids, of epilepsy, of neurodivergence, of an LGBT family, of creative collaboration. I wanted all the things that I knew I could write about in a positive, truthful, and emotional way. So that's where all that came from. It was just mostly representation. Yeah, all the things that I know that I am, right? And with theater kids, I've been around them my entire life. And theater for me has found family. Like, theater saved my life. It continues to this day. So meeting Jen and Dot and so many other people, like all the people that I met at the Flea, that was like, we're still all friends. We went through September 11th together. There's something deeply, inexplicably magical about theater, and that's why the themes of magic inherently made it in to this book, because you can't write about theater without magic. And it's not like cheesy magic, it's like very grounded magic. It's not pedantic or anything like that. It's like it happens and you can kind of figure it out. So it was about trying to capture the lightning in a bottle of theater kids.
And for those of us that read fiction but are so curious, like who are these people? And I know you said these are not in particular. That's not you. It's not your brother. But like, of course, for me, it's very difficult for me not to read it and be like, oh, I don't know that. I know that guy.
Yeah.
What is your feeling about that? Talk about the way in which you put the people that you know in your stories and disguise that, but there are other people. Like, how does that work? Like, how does it work for you to make it a piece of fiction? What would you say to people who read it and they're like, wait a second, is that me? Am I Beetlemeyer, the director?
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
Characters, I mean, I write a lot from the subconscious. A lot of stuff just comes. I think when you sit down, right, Carrie knows, you sit down, you're in the zone, a lot of stuff comes out, you try not to judge it, you go back, you read it, you're like, oh, how interesting, I wasn't really quite aware that I was doing that. People come in, and then you collaborate with them. They have pieces of whoever they are and pieces of whoever you know. So in the case of Ellie and Rockford, who are Kirby's best friends, yeah, echoes of Jen came in, echoes of Dorothy came in, and I know them so well that I don't have to do much, right? It's more just like sketches rather than an entire painting. It's an impression of them. And you start sort of collaborating, like being on a seesaw with the characters that come in and how you're writing. A lot of it is subconscious. You came in a lot through Krasinski. Definitely. And I've said to you, if this gets to be a movie, you have to play Krasinski.
Yeah.
Because Krasinski's kind of, he's got that sort of quirky, funny, young, he's like a big kid.
I thought it was John Krasinski.
I mean,
I just assumed.
we could get him. Maybe we should get Pedro.
No, I don't. It's much too expensive.
I know.
Talk more about that. Talk about like how you like. What is your process? Like, do you have an idea? Is it a lot of this dream work? Is it like what? For those of us who can barely write our names, like what is the process? I am mesmerized by it because it's hard, it's long, right?
I was also very, very curious about this process and tried to figure out how to do it for years and years and years, and that's why I think that was one of the big decisions on going back to grad school in 2015, because that was when I said I want to take a step back maybe from acting for a little while and really focus on this. And you don't need to have a master's to write. You don't need to have a bachelor's or a master's to do anything. But I felt, for me, knowing what I know about school and discipline and wanting to work really hard and continue to build community, going into school was a great way for me to learn what you're asking, to figure it out, because I knew I would have assignments. One of them being, by the time I got out of that program, I needed to write a book, and that's what Alice the Cat was. So I think having accountability is really, really helpful. And this is one of the reasons all of my students say they want to take classes. It's like, I need the accountability. If I have 10 weeks now, I'm going to get a lot done. So I think it's finding a process where you can elongate what you're doing and maybe reach the finish line of something.
Do you feel like it's something like taking classes or doing retreats or whatever? Is that something that you will always do with writing?
Yeah.
Is it you don't get to a place, Kurt Vonnegut was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just write the next great novel.
I'd like to, but I mean, I'm an artist.
Right.
So artists, most of them have to work to make a living. Some make a living off their artistry, but a lot of them have to have survival jobs, which has been my case for a really long time. So I write when I can. It's like, but it's interesting. It actually raises the stakes for me. Because it's like, I gotta get up early and write for a few hours. That's all I have, then I'll do it. If I had nothing else to do and had freedom to just write all day long, I actually don't know if I would do it. I feel like I would fuck off a little bit more, right? So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Writers' retreats are great because I get to go away for a week to 10 days and not have to worry about anything. I actually wrote an entire novel once at a writing retreat because nobody bothers you. You write from sun up to sundown. And, distraction is the enemy of writers. So
how long did it take you to write this book?
Well, it got broken up by the pandemic. I started writing it in the fall of 2019. I workshopped it with this writing group that I was in at the time, and then they gave me really good feedback. I didn't know if it could work. I was like, how am I going to write a book about theater kids and epilepsy? I really didn't know that it would work. The thing that helped it, the thing that cinched it, was when the dog showed up.
Right.
And I tell this to my students all the time. If you have a story problem, put an animal in it. Then you have no problem. I don't know what it is. Alice the cat, the cat, and that one. This one has the dog. When the dog showed up, I was like, that's it. That's the bridge. They're doing the theater to get the dog. And that encompasses the whole epilepsy aspect of it. Before that, I was struggling to know how I could tell this story. I just knew that I wanted to put both of these things in it. And so sometimes it is a matter of sitting back and relaxing and letting stuff kind of wash over you. Like seizure dogs, like, come on, it's extraordinary. So,
what was the hardest thing about writing this book? Like, what part of it was the most difficult? Was it just finding time? Was it?
No, it was writing the seizure scenes. Having to go to that place to make it really raw and visceral and truthful and not sugarcoated and not, adhere to the dictates of young adult and middle grade literature, which tell you you can't do this and you can't do that. And I hate that. The more you tell me I can't do something, I will do it even more. I wanted to explore epilepsy more in this book and just kind of figure it out. The whole thing is such an intense mystery.
Why do you think no one read stuff? What was your editor? Or did you have an editor?
Mm-hmm.
What was their opinion about a book about theater kids and epilepsy?
Representation.
They were
it's
like,
good-
they were like, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, they were like, it's good to have representation, definitely, but also epilepsy, it's people convulsing on the floor, banging their head and bleeding and wetting their pants and people freaking out, not knowing what to do. And that was certainly the case for me and Matthew because he had grand mal seizures. Not everybody has grand mal seizures. There's an entire spectrum of seizure activity for epileptics. But Matthew would have these seizures usually in the middle of the night. I shared a room with him growing up. And I remember the way it was dealt with in my family was like, what do you want us to do? Just deal with it. Right? My parents were hard pressed to know what to do. So I'd be like, I wouldn't really say anything about it. I would just deal with it. And that's exactly what happens in the book. There's a lot of scenes where Kirby's trying to sort of figure out, how to deal with it when Baxter has seizures and the scene in the carnival and that ride. That came from real life. That really happened. That was really hard to write about. And so it was that, and also just kind of honoring my brother. I feel really bad. I still feel really bad about it. It's not fair. It's not fair what happened to him. It's not fair that he had it. It's not fair that he died. It's been a long journey of trying to let go of it, and this was a way for me to honor it and write about it in a really powerful and beautiful way. And it took a really long time to get there, but I'm really proud that it happened, right? It's like I remember finishing this book and being like, okay, I think I have something. We'll see.
So you're writing about these issues, and I don't think the book pulls any punches. It is YA, and supposedly there are rules. It's like what you can and can't talk about.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this. Maybe I don't. But why? Like why this strike? Why not just write a novel for adults?
I don't know. I think I have a lot of Arrested Development myself, and I am myself kind of a big kid, and I love that. I love what's going on with you in life at that age, the hormones, the impressionistic aspect of it, how you remember everything from that time in your life. Certainly in my case, there's a lot of Arrested Development. I also think the interesting thing about this genre is that it's read widely by kids that age and adults, middle-aged, older people, and I think that these books create a time machine for you to have a conversation with your younger self. There's like a magic portal that opens. I know I feel that way even now when I read YA books, and I read a lot of them because I teach it. So it is about some sort of metaphysical way of having a conversation with your younger self. And when I do it, I'm always able to say, chill out. You're gonna be okay. Right? It's like I can parent myself. I can go back and be like, chill out. Put on your little Susie and the Banshees t-shirts. And like move forward. You're gonna be okay ultimately. I didn't know that then. I know it now. I mean, look what's happening now. But 13-year-old me dealing with one of my brother's seizures in the middle of the night, not know this. But, you know, I can visit him through these books and say, it's gonna be okay, for whatever that's worth. Does that sound too hooey? You can throw beer on me later at Julie's.
Do you think there's an advantage to writing YA?
Yes.
That I noticed, because I read both, because I read my kids, I noticed that there's some real advantages but I don't know that I can articulate that, but I see that something about why there's something about, I don't know, maybe it's the sort of magicalness of it, maybe it's the fact that there's not so much baggage, you know, that it's all present because their lives are short. You know, like I don't know exactly what it is, but are you interested in reading this genre? Do you always want to be here? I mean, you said you want to write third person publishing.
I mean, technically speaking, I'm kind of moving up the trajectory. Alice the Cat was a middle grade. This is a YA. The new book is a new adult, which is the college years. So I seem to be moving up in the trajectory. But a lot of people want more books in this imagined place called Weirville that both Alice the Cat and the Lightning People Play take place in, and there's some crossover with some of the characters.
I noticed that they're both in there.
Yeah.
Tess is in there, right?
Tess is mentioned, and Cotter has a pretty significant role in this, because that was everybody's favorite character in Alice the Cat. It's such a little whack job. I loved him so much. He came in so loud. He was like, I want to be in it! And he was a very loud and raucous and hilarious voice. So maybe I'll go back to them. But yeah, I want to.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, I feel like it's so clear in your books that this is a place.
Yeah.
You know that this is a community.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
In both books, and so. I mean, do you have? Is this Castle Rock?
Yeah.
Is this your Castle
Yes.
Rock?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, it is. When I was in grad school, I took this incredible course about the importance of place in your book, setting, and how setting the exterior needs to reflect the interior, and how important it is. So whether you place a book in the city or the country, and how that might correlate to what's going on with the protagonist's journey. But in this case, I remember I took this class, and I was thinking, why don't we have any new cities? No, really, like in America, like where are they? There was a time when like cities popped up. New York, Philly, St. Louis, Chicago, right? There's cities all over the place. And then you're like, when did it stop? They don't exist anymore. So that gave me the idea for Weirville, which I thought kind of in my mind was a little bit like Los Angeles, in that Los Angeles is both a city and a suburb. It's like a subtropolis, I call it. I wanted something like that, but much smaller and on kind of magical ground, as it were. And I remember I was like scouring the map of the country, and I saw this huge swathe of land on the Ohio and Pennsylvania border, and it was all hunting land. And I was like, no way, I'm getting rid of that. And I imagine that some billionaire or trillionaire like Jeff Bezos, instead of making dick rockets to go into space for 2 seconds, would like buy this huge piece of land and build a cool little subtropolis where families could go and live in peace and raise their children, and there would be like a magical element to it. So that was it. It was very simple. And then once I got there, I was like, okay, you know, I drew a map. I have this map that I drew of what it looks like and why it's called Weirville. You know, a weir is something that controls the flow of water, but also a weir is a spirit in Irish folklore. So that was yeah. It's my Castle Rock, or in the Stranger Things universe, what's it called? Hawkins? Yeah, in Stranger Things it's called Hawkins. So yeah, it's that. It's fun to do.
Right.
It's yeah.
So do you think there's maybe a series
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, the Weirville trilogy. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people want me to go back to J Curve, my very first book that I wrote that unfortunately never got published. It came very close, but it didn't happen yet. But maybe I could retool that and have it take place in Weirville and connect it to these two stories. That could be very interesting. Because that's a voice that has never really left me. You know, but I've kind of, I don't know that I've aged out of it, but I've changed a lot. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna keep going with Weirville. I want to get a T-shirt that just says Weirville so people can hear it.
So now what? Now what happens? Like now what? You just said you're writing another book. I know, almost finished.
That's a book about something that happened to us in New York City in the time after we graduated from college and got lost in the sort of glistering underworld of the New York City club scene in the 90s and the cost that was. It's primarily a cautionary tale about the way artists can sometimes go too deeply into their work and get burned permanently. You know, it's sort of like, I mean, maybe Black Swan would be a good reference point for it, how she goes so deep into trying to be that good ballerina that it basically kills her. It's not that, but it's an exploration of a young artist who is trying to figure out how to separate himself from the work. But it also is around some of the stuff that we dealt with.
Have you ever thought about publishing another? I think you published a book of poetry because I have it. Or I have. Are you gonna do more poetry?
Yep. Yeah. I do.
Do you still draw and write poems? And
I have what's called a journal. Hold on, I'll show you.
Yeah.
So this is a mixture between like a journal and a zine. I read this amazing book. I teach it for my class. It's called The First Rule of Being Punk by Celia Perez. And it's a story of this 12-year-old girl who lives in Florida with her best friend is her dad. He owns a record store, and she's real punk rock. And then her mother, she's half Mexican. Her mother wants her to just be this like perfect little Mexican señorita, and she doesn't want to be that. She gets a job where she has to move to Chicago. And when Malu, that's her name, gets there, she's not accepted in her school because she's very punk rock, and she keeps breaking the dress codes. And ultimately, she starts a band with her friends to kind of rally against the administration. Anyway, she's obsessed with making zines. So half the book is told in her voice, and the other half is told in like cutting out pictures and words and telling the story that way. So then I started doing this thing where I like half journal and half cut out things and put them in there. So it's just a way to stay creative. It's got all my Pony Sweat playlist. Pony Sweat is my dance aerobics class that I take in LA that I'm utterly obsessed with.
I have to say that I'm like a little bit surprised that there's, because you draw so much. I don't know if people know that Tim draws a lot of sea creatures and strange things. I'm surprised that hasn't made an appearance in your books.
All right. I
Graphic.
Yeah. I've been doing more stuff with it, I have to say, because I've gotten really adept at Photoshop and Illustrator and in design through my job, because I'm an office manager for an architecture firm, and I do a lot of that. So I've become very adept at dealing with the Adobe Creative Suite, and I've noticed that I'm starting to do more stuff with some old drawings and sketches that I've made. So who knows? We'll see. I mean, you know, there's also just keeping some stuff to yourself.
Right.
Some people see my drawings and are like, "What's wrong with you?" You know,
I don't have that much more to add, but I did think it'd be good to like sort of close out by saying like just, and I know you kind of said this before about, you know, stick with it, because it is amazing that you're here. I know your story, and I've known you for so long, and to me it's like it's a miracle that all of us are here. You know what I mean? What do you hope that people, kids, are gonna take away from reading this book? Because I can't recommend it enough. You should really read the book. I mean, it really is like spending time with Tim. And it seems easy. When I read it, I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, he just writes how he is. You know, that's that beautiful performance of the first, you know, I could watch that all day. And that's what I sense when I hear it. So what are you hoping that people come away with? That maybe it's like, this is a redundant question, but
creative collaboration, man. It's really important. These kids use theater to do something really important and cool to help somebody else. I think it's a really, really important message. I wish that I had what these kids managed to do when I was that age to help my brother. I didn't have that available to me then, but I have it now. And they kicked my ass in the best possible way by what they did. You know, the Mel and Nick, the twins, in their theater barn, and how, you know, they build this theater in the backyard that has hydraulics under the stage. Because Kirby was like, I want the bed to come up and move forward. And they're like, yeah, we can totally do that. Like, I wanted to push the envelope. I was like, how amazing can I make them without them being witches and wizards? Because that's the big teen thing in the zeitgeist right now. Although, J.K. Rowling, Ori is right? Like, that was the big thing about teenagers, and I really love those books, and I really love those movies, but I'm also like, it's still not real. They're witches and wizards, and because she's written all this magic, she has a deus ex machina on every other page. So she can write herself into any corner and then write herself out of it when somebody's like, wand! And like, you know, just like calls out a spell. That's not what it's really like. In real life, you have to figure it out. And in this book, the magic appears because of what they do. It's not there to aid them in what they want to do. So that's why this theater in their backyard had to be like, when the adults come and see it, they're like, what the shit is this? They think they're gonna see this cute little play, and they see something that changes them all irrevocably. I really wanted it to be like, wow, this is extraordinary, you know? They put lights in the trees, they put subwoofers under the seats. The theater barn was one of my absolute favorite scenes to write. It was this place where it's like a museum for, their father was a well-known set designer and collects all of this stuff when theaters shutter. And they can pull from that and to use as resources. So yeah, that's what I want people to take from it. And the scene where the kids are put in front of their peers after they do the play.
Cruelest of all people, their peers.
That was the scene that the editor wanted to take out.
Wow.
And I said, no way. I was like, it's really important to see how they defend what they've done. Because that one girl stands up and she's like, this is deeply irresponsible of you. Who do you think you are to write a play that's not reflective of what's going on in the world? And Ellie's like, I think writing a play about helping someone with a disability is a social justice issue, right? Like, stop yelling at us. And the whole, so putting, I mean, listen, if you're an artist, you have to face a lot of criticism.
It's so true.
You know this.
Yeah, I don't go on the computer anymore.
I know. I thought it was really important for kids who read this book to understand that if they want to follow the path of being an artist, that they have to defend what it is that they're doing in a positive way. And that's what they do in that scene. They're tasked, but then once they do it, all this other cool magic happens, right? Because then the kid says, he's taking pictures and sees how they all have the purple aura around them, right? So it's every time they do something really cool or stand up for their art, this cool magical thing happens. So it's kind of an interesting analogy or metaphor for keeping going, I think. Yeah.
Are you gonna read again?
Oh, you want me to? We have time?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it not out of time? I'm gonna get out of the way.
Where's that chapter? Okay. So, okay, for a little bit of context, I told you in the first chapter, you learned that Baxter has visions of these lightning people that come down from the lightning in the field, and they kind of stand there and they show him these symbols. But we don't know what the symbols are or what they mean. And he won't say anything. He won't share this information with his brother. And then, a little bit of a spoiler, but not really because it's in the beginning of the book, Kirby discovers the symbols in a sketchbook of Bax's, talking about drawing. And he realizes that it's the symbols, and he describes what they look like. One of them looks like a thistle, one of them, in his mind, one of them looks like a intersecting hourglasses, one of them looks like kind of this strange dance of snakes. So then the symbols kind of make their way into our world. So I'll read you a scene where it starts to happen. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So this chapter is called Thistle. After the first week of school, Bax gets transferred into classes for kids with disabilities. He cannot focus as easily now. Dr. Brain says that for some kids with newly diagnosed epilepsy, cognitive impairments can occur. Dad tries not to make a big deal out of it so Bax doesn't feel bad, but I can tell he's worried. His shoulders have been slumped for days. Doc also said these cognitive impairments can sometimes be a common side effect of the strong medications Bax takes now to keep the epilepsy under control. Pills with names that sound like characters from the sci-fi comic book, like Kepra and Valproate and Ex-Capri. When we drop off Bax, he asks me to walk him to his new classroom, downstairs from his usual one, way on the opposite side of Weirville Elementary. As we head down the far hallway toward these classrooms, we hear all the kids, his friends, playing outside the building, goofing off before they get called in to start the day. But Bax doesn't want to be out there with them. He's not dressed in one of his little professorial suits, but in a pair of lime green sweatpants and a purple fleece pullover instead. He seems nervous. The hallway smells like cafeteria food, bready and salty and oniony and craft glue, rubbery and sweet. We meet his new teacher, Miss Devika, who wears a sari and has a bindi. She's so pretty, with eyes like dark jewels, and when you move close to her, it feels as if she has invisible arms that uncoil around you and make you feel calm. So calm. Like my head tingles when she comes over to say hi to us. Everything melts away. Everything tingles. It's so ASMR. She smiles at Bax. She smells like fruity sandalwood and coconut shampoo. Her long dark hair looks like black water. The classroom is neat. Ordered, clean. I like it. Shelves at the back are organized with books, markers, construction paper, stickers, crafts. Gigantic posters hang on the wall, the solar system, the earth, the oceans, the insides of human and animal bodies, all painted in bold, dark colors like navy blue, mustard, and dark red. I'd rather spend my days in this classroom than any of the ones I remember from when I attended this school. It's way more alive. Devika has a vase of fresh wildflowers on her desk. Stems spill up and out, husks and leaves, flowering plants I've never seen before. I spot something in the bouquet. and suddenly hear a pinching, high-pitched tone in my left ear. It sears through my brains for a few seconds and then dissipates. Ouch. One of the flowers is colorful and prickly and weird. Bright purple pink and super spiky. The bud rises from a crispy pod beneath, and the pod has small sharp barbs all around it. I walk to Divika's desk and stare at the flower for a minute. I can't believe it. It's here. Bax sees it too and joins me. Oh, he says quietly. How could it be? I whispered. They're coming. Bax answers and nods as if to reassure himself. Chills spill. Who? I ask. Bax looks at me. Divika walks over to us, gestures to the spiky bud. You like that? The thistle. Thistle. It looks like one of the symbols. It is one of them, or practically identical anyway. I feel my heart slither in my chest. A baby snake crossing a river rock. Cool, Bax says. He walks away, settles himself in a desk at the back. His backpack slides to the floor. Thwomp! And he looks around at all the maps, diagrams, and artwork on the walls. He doesn't seem worried about this whole thing at all. Other kids arrive. They do not know me, and they stare at me curiously. I smile and turn to Divika. You have a lot of experience with teaching kids with special needs? Disabilities, she corrects me. Sorry. Why do you ask? Are you concerned for your brother? She asks. No, I guess, I just don't want him to feel different. But different is good, she says. I melt from her invisible ASMR tentacles. Bindi looks like a little round doorway. Special needs is a negative misnomer, if ever I've heard one, she says. Special doesn't begin to describe these angels. Their hearts and minds go beyond what you and I and any able-bodied child can comprehend. Yet they are deemed slow, problematic, needy. There's just such dreaded, dire, injudicious words. Divika comes around her desk and stands in front of me. Her dreamy eyes stare through my soul, and I swallow. Truth is, she says, they contain multitudes. This world is too small for their gifts. I see Bax gazing out the window at the trees. The classrooms at this end of the school face the other side, the woods. All you see when you look outside is a forest with watery dapples of bright sunlight dripping through the leaves. It makes the woodland move and breathe. Feels like a big living green body right outside the classroom. I can't tell what Bax is feeling. He's a different Bax now. He's wearing colored clothes and sneakers. One kid comes scuttling in, drops his backpack, stops, and points at me. Hey! Christopher John Francis Boone! That's who I played in The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. I smile. He yells out, "Hello, Christopher! Christopher, hello!" He walks up to me slowly, staring at me like I'm royalty. All the kids watch this with interest. The boy gestures for me to lean down to him, and when I do, he whispers in my ear, "It's okay, Christopher Boone. We'll help." He smiles and touches my face. My throat tightens. I feel like I swallowed fizzy lifting drink. I'm floating in a sky of bubbles. I need to belch to come down or get sucked into a roaring metal fan. After the kids in the class have settled, Divika looks at me. There are no needs here, she says. Not for these children. If there are any needs, then they're for the people who feel uncomfortable with all the wonder inherent here. She waves her hand across the classroom and I nod. She gently plucks the thistle from the bouquet and hands it to me. I feel her jewel eyes probing my soul. I take the beautiful thistle. It fizzes in my fingers as if it is alive. It feels like a cat's sandpapery tongue. It's heavier than it looks. It appears fragile and light, but it's hefty. I turn it over in my hands a few times. How could it be? I look over at Bax. A burst of morning sun streams through the window beside him, lighting up one side of his face while casting the other in shadow. Him and not him. He blinks into the light. a pet sunning itself in a patch of warm light on a porch. I can almost hear him purring. I stuttered the thistle in my fingers, and it kind of feels like that's purring too. Other questions or any Q&A or anything like that? Anybody have any questions about anything they want to ask? Yes?
We talked a little bit about this, but
Yeah.
I'm still interested, especially as an LGBT family or just parents with kids. Why did they really not talk to these? Why did they talk to Kirby and Bax about what was happening with their parents?
Yeah.
It's a tough one for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I talked about this with Paul yesterday as well. This notion of like what your parents tell you and what they don't tell you, why, and how some parents and some families are really open with one another and share everything and have a great openness. And in this case, there's some mysterious thing going on with why Pop left, and Kirby senses something is wrong and is right. And when he finally, confronts Dad about it, Dad says, "I didn't want to lie to you. My parents did nothing but lie to me, and I didn't think that I could tell you the truth, so I just didn't say anything." Basically, I think he felt it was more important to withhold what happened, and basically it was that he said something to Pop that really hurt him, and Pop got mad and left. This was loosely inspired by the film Arrival. I don't know if any of you ever saw Arrival, the one with Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner. There's a scene where Amy Adams' character says, "I said something to your dad that he didn't want to hear, and that's why he's gone." And I thought, oh, that's interesting. What could somebody say to somebody else that would make them leave? And it's never explained what it is, but it was something that had to do with when people are together for a while and what happens in relationships, and how that's a really important thing for kids to see and understand. And also the journey that this family has made. They were in Texas, and Texas was too hard for them because of the homophobia, and how it's coming up again also in Weirville in small ways, and how they, the challenges that they have to face as a family, dealing with that, but also dealing with the inner politics as well. So I wanted it to be mysterious, but also very real, and I think it was a great engine of conflict for Kirby and Nate, that's Dad. It complicated their relationship, and I thought was really important. It's like Kirby and Nate fight and are in love with one another in the same moment. It's very much just like that thing that sometimes happens with teenagers and their parents. And I really wanted that in there. And Pop has that one speech where he's like, "The greatest thing that ever happened to me is that you and your brother came into my life. So no matter what happens with me and Dad, it's never gonna change that. If we get back together, if we don't get back together, my love for you is never going anywhere. So you don't have to worry about that." And that's kind of like, what's more important to a kid? That their family is one unit, or that their parents love them, right? It was just it's just asking tough questions, and I feel like that's the responsibility that I have in writing for this age group. Challenge them, make them think about things, don't make it so easy, let there be questions. And also, I'm glad that you got mad about it. I really am. I want people
I think the book is great, guys. Read the book. If you've ever read the book, read the book. Read the book.
Yeah, it challenged me too. I was like, "Tim, what are you doing?" But it worked. It somehow kind of worked in the end. So, yeah, that's that. No easy way out, I guess. Anything else? Questions? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Yes.
It's more of
Yeah.
And the book has a lot of complex moments and discussion points. How do you feel epilepsy is being presented, or is it opening up conversation? Is that the intention, like, not just to raise more awareness about it, and certainly the heartbreaking situation that you come from, but are you hoping that this opens up more awareness and conversation and dialogue around these issues? And
Yeah.
what is your vision or your dream about that?
More conversation, more opportunities to get people in a room like this to understand the story. It also acts as a catalyst for so many other things that people are dealing with that we need to bring out into the light, whether that's a health issue, a socio-political issue, a disability, whatever it is, things that we have a responsibility to elucidate in positive ways. I got in touch with the Epilepsy Foundation of Los Angeles when I was doing events in LA, and they were very happy to kind of sponsor me a little bit. They came to, I had a panel where I brought some people from the Epilepsy Foundation to talk about their experience having family members who have epilepsy, or what they said to me was it's very rare, but incredibly important. If you've lost somebody to epilepsy, they actually want me to join this group of people in the foundation who lost people to epilepsy, because it's always so harrowing. They usually die because they had a seizure. In my case, Matt had a seizure. He fell, he had a bad fall, he broke his neck, he was paralyzed for a little while, and then he succumbed to his injuries, etc., and passed away. But I think I saw a lot of the hopelessness of my parents trying to figure it out, and there isn't a lot. There's medication and there's therapy, and I think science and the medical field are improving in their ability to figure it out. But yeah, I want there to be a conversation. I mean, a lot of people who've read the book who reached out to me and said, I had no idea. I didn't know you had an epileptic brother. I didn't even know that epilepsy was like this. And I think, it's hard. It's hard. If you ever see somebody have a grand mal seizure, you understand why it's hard. I saw it so many times, and it's horrifying. You're like, what is this? How can this possibly be an affliction that we have to deal with? And before medical science, indigenous people and early people and Native Americans had a very different view of what epilepsy was. It was more mystical and it was more spiritual. They were conduits for energies and spirits to either come through and have a message to be relayed, or they were basically like demonic energy that needed to be exorcised, right? Like, could you imagine being an early human and seeing somebody with epilepsy and not knowing, what that is? And all it is an anomaly of the way electricity moves through your brain. We are actually made up of an enormous amount of electricity, and for epileptics, it kind of goes like this, and then there's the process of it trying to come back to normal. So it's a fascinating affliction, and I hope this book helps people to understand it more, study it more, and let there not be so much neurophobia in the world. There was a lot of neurophobia. I remember in some of the early write-ups, because I work with a publicist and a PR team, and so your book goes out to all these absolutely horrifying review aggregator sites where everybody in the world has free reign to say whatever they want. And a lot of people had a lot of problems with this book about an epileptic kid, and how disgusting it was. And I was like, see? It's just, I was like, this is why I wanted to put it out there. So I wish that there was more I wish I didn't have to write this book, is probably what I should say. But I'm glad that I did. I know it's getting late. It's Wednesday night. Good God. We're gonna go to Julius's we have a room reserved back there for drinks and food. If you want to come and join, we can talk more. Anybody who bought a book and wants me to sign either a book that they have already or a book plate sticker, I'll do that. And then we'll be on our way. Oh, wait. I gotta get this picture. Hello. Say hey. Hey. All right, hold on. I gotta get there. Hey. Nice.
And there's cake.
Oh, there's cake. There's Lightning People cake back there. Please have some cake. Thank you so much for being here.